Talk chapter had the chance to sit down with some of Charlotte's rising Black creatives and visionaries, speaking on their impact in the community. Throughout history, we've always had to fight for a seat at the table. It's time we coalesce and build our own. This is their journey. We hope it inspires you to shape yours.
Well, gentlemen, welcome. I'm glad you all able to come into the room. Real quick, just wanted to sort of break the ice and be honest with the elephant in the room. How have y'all been adapting to these times creatively, financially, business? Like, how have y'all made that shift? Because it's been a lot, it's been happening, so.
Most definitely. I can start off. So I think the magic word over the last few months has been pivot. So in terms of business, the team and I, we've been moving to more so consulting virtually versus actually showing up with our cameras and filming. So obviously with the COVID restrictions, we've had to help clients achieve more of an online presence because I think, for those companies and organizations and brands that weren't already on social media or on the digital platforms with a presence, they know now it's no other choice. And so, we've been positioning ourselves as a solution, offering marketing consulting, content creation, website development, all the above. So that's one way, in terms of business, we've been pivoting. And outside of that, man, I just think, I really been having a good time, during COVID and during quarantine. You know what I mean? It's like I've been able to run more. That's a new hobby that I've been picking up is just trying to run at least 2-3 miles, 5 days a week. So that's been a huge blessing. And sometimes it's okay to slow down and speed back up. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, I just been taking it in stride. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so it's been much of the same. I mean, a lot of the work that I do is community driven. A lot of the work that I do centers Black people. So obviously during this time, there's been a lot of opportunity. A lot of people are thinking about it. A lot of people are talking about the treatment of Black folks and all that kind of stuff. So if anything, it's just created more opportunity to hold folks accountable. It's created more business opportunity. So it's been a blessing to be in a position where, working on what I'm passionate about has, dealt with a lot of increase or things at least being steady during the time where a lot of people are experiencing a lot of chaos. So no complaints, man.
That's what's up. I'd say kind of like on the tip that Khalil's been, it's forced me to be more comfortable with slowing down. I'd say that. Learning more about myself, what I do, kind of being cooped up in the crib, working remote, honestly was a struggle for me, just being vulnerable. I think it's different when you have the luxury to all right, I'm gonna take a week off versus I'm in the same, those same four walls, 24/7. And then on top of that, doing the photography, editing still inside. So it's kind of forced me to look in and kind of reevaluate, all right, this is how I can break up my day. These are the type of things that I like doing. So I'll say I've grown from it. I'll say that. So it's been smooth.
And me, I think things have been moving extremely fast during the whole COVID thing. I haven't even had time to sit down and really reflect because I would say I kind of built a team around me, but at the same time, there wasn't a whole lot moving unless things were falling in my lap. So I'm extremely blessed to say a lot of opportunities have fallen in my lap and I've just been there to execute.
Yep. Dope. So y'all are all creatives, multifaceted, y'all wear different hats. But where was the shift? Going to school, following the status quo, everything is very linear. Where was the shift for you all in your respective lanes where y'all said, you know what, I want to pursue my creative passions and I'm gonna make these things happen and come into fruition? When did that happen for you?
I mean, I made the mental shift when I was in school. So I graduated from Winston-Salem State in 2013. And I knew that corporate America wasn't gonna be where I landed, permanently, but I still took a corporate job coming out of school for, many of the reasons that you just mentioned, status quo, trying to make your mama happy, this, that, and the third. So I did that for about 1.5 years before I stepped out and, I have started my own company while I was working at Coca-Cola. And, but yeah, I guess the physical shift happened during that time, but the mental shift happened way before that. I just didn't really know how to execute on it, and I had to get kind of into more of a real life scenario and kind of build up the confidence to do it in real life well, I consider college real life as well, but I had to, because a lot of people are trying to make you seem like, oh, wait till you get to the real world. It's like, nah, like college is the real world. A lot of the practical experience I got in college, I apply now. But in saying that, like, I just had to have other things going on, you know what I'm saying, from, you know, paying bills, paying rent, this, that, and the third, like those types of things will become, will force you to think about how you make money and how you earn your income. So the mental shift, I knew I needed to do something creative when I was in school, but I didn't make the physical shift of committing to it until I was out of school and having, you know, worked for a year and a half, and just decided like, yo, nah, like it was physically manifesting itself in my body. Like I wouldn't get up in the morning, you know what I'm saying? Waiting too long to get up in the morning. I was just like, you know what? It ain't no way to live like this. You know what I'm saying? My girlfriend at the time was like, you ain't gotta live like this. Like you got a whole bunch of work that you're doing outside of work. Why don't you chase that? And yeah, so I just went after it, bro.
For me, it was in high school. So my brother-in-law, or my now brother-in-law, he was in marketing. His name's Kyle Sutton. And he was working in marketing back then, and he knew a bunch of graphic designers. Like he was overseeing creative director or whatever you would call it, his position back then. He was overseeing a bunch of graphic designers who he knew were talented and could do more, but they didn't have that mode that they clicked into. So he kind of instilled it in me when I was younger, because he saw I was talented drawing, because that's all I was doing back then. But he was like, you can be the best drawer in the world and nobody know it. So he instilled in me early on. It was like, nah, you gotta think about how you're marketing yourself, all that. And then, you know, when I got to UNCC, I mean, it was like balls to the wall, like every night. I mean, me and you up every night, locked in and folding in everything from my past and my history into the work that I was creating, and just mashing the button and go.
For sure.
Yeah, I always knew that like it had to be something more than just the linear approach to life. Like you go to school, you graduate, go to college, you get a job, you get married, you have kids. Like I was like, yo, I can't live this traditional life. That's just not me. There got to be something more that can be like more fulfilling. And so like when I was early on, like we grew up performing, so dancing, stepping, performing martial arts, practicing martial arts. And so with that background, I knew that I couldn't just be confined to a cubicle. Like that just wasn't in the cards for me. But it's hard because you have to go against the grain of what society tells you to be, or what the pressures of the world tell you to be. And so when I graduated from high school and stepped into college, I already made that shift, but I just didn't know how I was gonna achieve the things that I wanted to achieve, right? So I knew that I wanted more. I didn't know what it could look like, because we don't have a lot of examples. You know what I'm saying? You go to school, you go to college, you go to the military, you might go to trade school after high school. Those are really all your three options. Or you just stay in your neighborhood and try to figure it out. So, you know, college for me was like, it was just like, yo, let me just get through this so that I can get to the real world. I think I take a different approach on it. Like, you know, college I took serious, but I knew that there's something on the other side of this where I'm gonna really be able to blossom and express myself and live life to its fullest. But I do cherish the times and the moments and the relationships that I've built in college. It was just that I had to figure it out. So like after I graduated from UNC Charlotte, I stepped into the corporate world and I started working as a data consultant for a healthcare company. And that was a very like enlightening time for me, because had I not experienced that, I wouldn't have known that corporate wasn't the way for me. But as soon as I got there, I realized like, no, I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life here. And so that's what really propelled us to start Lloyd Visuals. And you know, I quit my job in 2017. And ever since then, you know, we've been on the road, you know, doing what we gotta do. And so it's not easy, you know what I'm saying? It may sound like, oh yeah, you did X, Y, Z, but it's really not. It's up and down, you know what I'm saying? Success is like all over the place. So you gotta just, do your best and, take life in stride. But, I'm glad I made that decision to go ahead and just jump off the porch, build my parachute on the way down, because I wouldn't have the opportunity to sit here with all of you guys and be chopping it up. So, yeah, that's when I had to shift, for sure.
No, that's real. I think mine is kind of similar. I mean, obviously I still have like the 9 to 5. And like you said, it's not easy, like at all. You kind of got to build up to a certain point. But I think like that main like mental switch for me to keep going was mainly like still in school. I got my camera when I got like my first refund check, so, and it's different, I didn't go out and buy like a flat screen. Yeah, right. So I was glad in the fact that, all right, when I purchase something though, it's like an investment in myself. I still love photography. All I had was my phone though. So again, couldn't afford it till I got that first check. Shot with just people I knew. And then, to his point, once you kind of post it and market it a certain way, and again, it was just for fun, until people start hitting you up. And once you pass, like a certain amount of people and you build that confidence to kind of what you said, that's when you can start charging and you actually start making money with it. And that's when it's like, all right, I'm consistently bringing money in. I've surpassed, the entry level camera was, $500. I done surpassed 500. So you've got something. So like, how do you, build a process and start cranking stuff out that way? That was a big switch.
In terms of social media, I mean, I know everybody been on their phone since quarantine, like people ain't got much to do. So you see people just always posting, reposting. There's a certain romanticism about the result or the success of, people posting their accolades or accomplishments. And, they love that, they'll get the likes, whatever. But in terms of the actual process, there are very few that are willing to put in the work to see their dreams come into fruition, So in terms of speaking on process, what is y'all's favorite part of that? Whether it's a project, whether it's, a collaboration, to see those things come into fruition, what's y'all's favorite aspect of the process?
That's like a really good question. Nah, yeah. I mean, for me, I like I kind of like the ideation phase. I like being able to decide, like figuring out what the possibilities are, connecting the dots. Like that's what gets me excited. You know what I mean? Like everything in between is like between the ideation and the execution, everything else is just like getting it done and like putting your head down. But being able to be like, oh nah, that's a fire idea. And then to like actually see it actually come to fruition. Like once it's done, it's just like, okay, like that's where it's at. So like for me, it's like just being able to sit down and map out whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like I just finished up company retreat today with one of the businesses that I own with my business partners, and just to see us put together a new framework and like a new strategy with the help of some like, some advisors and stuff. It's like, this is what's getting me excited because I know where we headed, you know what I mean? Like vision casting and thinking real big is, that's what really gets me excited.
That's real. I think I'd have to say the same thing. Like literally the same two pieces. Obviously the execution piece, because it wouldn't even be there without that. But it's almost a part of the, like after that ideation phase, like for me, trying not to sound super cliche, but it's like that ambitious part. It's like the fact that it's not even done yet. Like we already as creatives thought of the quote unquote wild idea, but it's not done yet. And to me, that's like it's like, all right, bet, like I'm gonna go out and do this. And so I'm just waiting, I'm building. I don't know, it's kind of like, it's like that faith part of like, I know I'm gonna finish this project. So as I'm building it up until the point when it's done, just makes me, it's like a certain type of energy. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, bro, because to your point, like to the point of the question, like the process is really trash, bro. Like nobody, and I know some people that really like value that, like getting in the mud and like getting it done. I mean, obviously I value it at a level too, like it has to get done, but it's like, bro, it's not fun. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not, you be up late, you be up early, you be like, the process is garbage. But like, being able to have that finished result in your hand, or to be able to say like it's done, or like to see how people react and respond to it, especially like on the art side, like being an artist as well, like seeing how people respond to it is always the dope part, but like getting it done is always like, yeah,
I love
bro.
the process though. Like
I knew Khalil was gonna be the one. I knew Khalil was gonna be the one, bro. I knew Khalil was gonna be the one, bro.
I love the process. Like I love the hustle. Be feeling like one of them ball playing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like I'm all paid in full, bro. It's just like it's the journey that really gets me, cause I take it from the perspective of like, I stay at the 30,000 foot level a lot. Like I'm a visionary, so I love to look at the big picture and look at why are we doing what we're doing, what impact do we want to make? Is it going to be quantitative, qualitative? Like, you know, I like looking at all of that from a big picture, but then I also love narrowing it down into like actionable items of how we're going to get this shit done. And like the three kind of phrases that I've been living with for the past like couple years is ideate, execute, and systemize. So ideate, the ideation phase, a lot of people can come up with good ideas, but then the percentage lessens from those that can actually execute on those ideas. And then once you get to the execution phase, like great, but now it's about sustaining, and now it's about systemizing that process. And a lot of times that's where I live. I love executing. Like I love taking somebody like me and Dave, like we'll build a lot, you know what I'm saying? Because Dave is a phenomenal, just creative and has a bunch of ideas. But let's say Dave has like a dope ass idea. Because I got a good relationship with Dave, I'm like, all right, bro, like let's do it. Let's figure something out. But I'm cool with just like figuring out how to execute on the shit. If somebody bring me an idea, I like it, I got a relationship, all right, cool, let's execute. Let's figure out how we gonna make the impact. Let's figure out how we gonna make the money. And then let's figure out how to automate the system so that this shit can like make money and make impact without us actually being there. So yeah, man, I love the execution phase, and I'm trying to get better with systemizing my processes.
See, I'm on the tail end of, like I'm a details guy. So my foundation is drawing, and I know that every single line matters in a drawing. Getting down to like line weight and that kind of thing in a sketch or something like that. But I literally think of all my big ideas as just really big drawings. I think that's my forte. I think of something and then I make it tangible in a sketchbook. But when we get down to the systemizing thing, like it's like, whew, I'm gonna need somebody else to handle that part, because I'm at an infancy stage of that. Of course, the way I'm growing, the trajectory that I'm growing right now is gonna force me to grow into that phase. But right now, it's like, if I can focus on the details, let me just draw until somebody needs me to think more about something. Or I try to stay insulated a lot of the time, so the people around me on a big project really matter.
And in terms of like creatives, young creatives sort of stepping into a new platform, or whether it's starting something new or really having them on a journey to where they're just trying to really find their niche and find what it is that they want to do, you know, do y'all have any like bits of advice in terms of, you know, for those young creatives that see y'all on social media and see you guys doing things that look dope, you know, but that's a direct result of the process, right? Do y'all have any, I guess, just like bits of advice for those young kids that are coming up trying to find and forge their own path?
Number one, go back to your roots. Like if you can, go back to the first thing you were interested in when you was a kid. If it was a TV show or a sport, like for me it's basketball, but like make sure you literally just respect your roots. Like I've realized, like, really the meaning to me being an artist is really peeling back the layers of what you've become. And if you can use your expression as a megaphone of some sort, that's really all there is to it. Like, if you go back and research artists who really did the shit, like back in the day, that's all they were doing. They were just telling the world who they are, why they felt like they were here, and really depicting the world around them, how they see it.
Smooth. So yeah, I would say, you know, self-awareness is key. I think Drake says it best, man, know yourself, know your worth. But I think, you know, the process of really understanding like who you are, what makes you tick, what you're passionate about, maybe what you're weak at, is gonna help you a lot. And so I would really urge, young folks, people that still just trying to figure it out, like really sit with yourself and ask yourself like those tough questions, you know what I'm saying? Like look in the mirror every day and just ask yourself, are you happy? I think that's a good place to start. Like, am I happy right now? And if I'm not happy, then what are some of the things that I can do to make myself happy? Do I need to put myself in a different situation? Do I need to look for another job? Do I need to find a mentor? Do I need to surround myself with different people? Like all of those things I think are key to being able to find out like who you are and what really makes you tick and what you're passionate about. And then the other side of that is like understanding your value, right? So I think this is very important because a lot of times what I've seen is folks that are really, really talented that may not have the business acumen to be able to conduct a deal that's favorable to them. A lot of times, creatives end up getting the short end of the stick because they may be really talented but don't understand the value of their talent, of their art, of the things that they produce. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about as not only a businessman but an artist as well, is being able to advocate for, young entrepreneurs or young artists that, maybe are really passionate and really talented at what they do, but may not have the skill set to be able to step into the boardroom and advocate for themselves in a way that they'll be able to get, the most return on their value. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I add to that by saying like, I be wanting younger cats and like, specifically cats that's been like doing their thing for a while. Not necessarily if you just getting into, just getting into something, this may not apply to you, but like cats that's been doing their thing for a while and like, decided that this is what they want to make a living off of, understand that there's an industry that exists for your medium and understand you need to study that industry and how that industry works. You need to study the different roles that you could potentially have within that industry. Because a lot of times I think everybody kind of thinks about creative jobs as something that's like, something that you have to do independently or something that you have to do on your own. It's like, nah, bro, like it's cats that make six figures that's photographers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cats that do, And I mean like when I say six figures, I mean like six figures off one shoot type shit. Like not six figures like in a year. But it's just about understanding how the industry works to be able to put yourself in that position and being willing to do the work and be in the process of getting to that position, right? So, being a retoucher in somebody's studio, learning how to work with stylists and learn what it's like to run a set, just from a photography perspective is like important when you think about the photography industry, right? And it's like film has its nuances, graphic design has its nuances, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're creative and you decide like, oh, I want to make a living off of this, like it's cool to understand that there are different avenues that can allow for you to do what you're passionate about and still take care of yourself, and that it don't make you less creative for doing that within inside of an organization where you provide value. You know what I mean? Like not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. So, you know what I mean? It's cool to be able to know if you are meant to be an entrepreneur and understanding how that industry works for entrepreneurship, but also like understanding that like, you as somebody who's working inside somebody's organization, you could provide value there as well, and you could be passionate and be fulfilled, and you still have your trials, right? Because life is life. Yeah. But at the same time, like knowing yourself, to Khalil's point, will let you know exactly where you need to sit on that spectrum, and there ain't no disrespect or there's no stigma attached to either one, or at least there shouldn't be a stigma attached to either one. You know what I'm saying? If you're a creative, you're a creative. Whether you building something on your own and contracting that work on your own, or whether you work inside, an organization and a system, as long as you're providing value and you know your worth and you feel good about what you're getting compensated, then you should be straight.
See, I'm at a point where I completely agree with you. Like I think of this creative hustle as if it's a basketball game. Like we was talking about that earlier. Like for me, ball is life, right? I mean, it's cliche, everybody says it, but literally like I navigate the creative realm as if I'm a basketball player. So I know there's of course star players and then there's role players, and it's like everybody has a role. Like that's 100% what I live by. And sometimes, you know, you got your 6 man, like you got big man, point guard. Then you got people like LeBron who are like, you know he gonna show up and perform every single time. And if you think of a workplace as if it's a basketball court, I mean, that's work for them. So why wouldn't I think my creativity, same arena type thing?
For sure.
Side note too, it's good to have sports back. It's good to see basketball back. I don't know about y'all, but you know,
it tripped me out, like the way they got the audience, like
on the screen.
Yeah, having the screens, and they got like the chair background behind them. Like, yo, this is kind of crazy. Like this is some futuristic. It's 2020 for real.
And it's like the world is literally, the world is changing like right before our eyes. Like, I mean, we are in a global pandemic. You know what I'm saying? It's like what the last one was in 1918, Spanish flu. You know what I'm saying? So. Right. But yeah, it's interesting though. I don't watch much sports and much TV, but I respect the game a lot. And so, yeah, I think it's cool that people can like get back into sports, because a lot of folks, man, we just sitting at home and, you know, you're not able to go out to the bar anymore. You're not able to like, you know, just be around people. Some people are extra, like for me, I'm like, I find myself like in the middle. Like I'm cool by myself. I'm cool with my, you know, immediate family and close circle of friends, and the other folks, they get energy by being with other people. So I'm sure it's a lot harder for those folks, you know, during this time of, you know, being quarantined and having to stay to yourself. But yeah, I'm not like a huge like basketball guy. I respect the sport a lot though, but I haven't tuned in, to be honest. But I see Dame dropping like 50 a night, and I'm like, yo, homie is doing this thing.
LeBron's sweating a little bit.
Word.
Yeah.
Damn.
Nah, but to your point though, like, I think that's the big thing. It's like they're adapting. Like, everyone had, like, we kind of had our time, and it's still time to do that. Like, yo, you just got to be still and just figure stuff out and adjust. Again, that was my biggest issue. Like, anyone like y'all that know me, it's like you call me, it's like, yo, what are you doing? I'm busy. But it's like now it's like, yo, you know, be calm and be cool and figure out what you're about to do. Reorganize. It's okay to just like take a breath. So now, like you said, NBA's back. All these different things are like coming back. So it's like, look, you either adapt or, you know, you kind of fall to the wayside, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily in a bad way, but it's like you gotta keep moving forward in life. So
yeah, eventually you gotta make a move, bro. Yeah. Like you can't, it's not gonna wait. Now you can do your due diligence, you know, take care of your mental health, analyze yourself, like, you know, pay attention to what you need to pay attention to, but eventually, if anything gonna change, you gotta take action, you gotta move. Yeah. And that's what happens, it's like, okay, and it's even higher stakes for an organization like the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like I think they said something like they could lose like hundreds of millions of dollars, if not like billions of dollars, $1 billion in revenue by letting the season tank. When you think about like endorsement deals, merch, like, you know, TV deals, contracts, all that kind of stuff. It's like they had to come back. They had to figure something out. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, is like that's how it goes. Like, bro, at a certain point, you gotta do your due diligence, but you gotta move. If you're gonna survive and thrive, you gotta move.
Yeah, see, that's my whole world. Like, so one of the things that you like talking about missing out on things, like there's a whole class of hoopers, or not even just hoopers, class of athletes who possibly didn't get a chance to get seen by a college or an NBA scout or whatever. Like, that hurts me, bro. Like, cause I know there's literally a kid in a gym who's putting up shots thinking, oh, Carolina gonna come look at me, or Duke gonna come look at me. Even if it's like a D2 school where they're missing out on the opportunities to play their high school season or their AAU season or whatever. And that's something that I thought that just messed with me.
It's wild, but it's like, it also teaches you to be innovative. Like, you in a time now where you like, look, bro, look, LaMelo Ball about to be top 3 pick, and this dude did not finish high school for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he took a completely different path, whether it was his choice or not. It just shows, like, it's 2020, bro. Like, that kid that's putting up shots should probably be putting himself on YouTube at the same time. He should probably be, you know what I'm saying, building a brand for himself. Like, that's the thing that's just tripping me out, and watching, like, from the time that I came up, and when, you know, all of those things were kind of being formalized with AAU and like this, that, and the third. Now it's like you got kids that have like they damn near drop a flyer every time they get an offer with themselves photoshopped in the uniform from the school, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole different world as it relates to this. And then you got all these kind of like little side things like Hoop Mixtape and Ball is Life and this, that, and the third that's hyping these kids up. You know what I mean? All these Hoop Mixtapes and all this kind of stuff. And it's covered just like it's hyping kids up before they even get to doing something for real. But it provides a platform, an opportunity for you to build a brand for yourself and be able to do something. So it's like, if you ain't thinking like that as an athlete in 2020, if you waiting on a scout, then you already behind the 8-ball.
And see, you could take that and apply it to literally anything. Yeah, so that's my whole wave. Like, I saw something probably like 2 years ago, scrolling on Instagram, it was like, creatives are the new athletes. And I was like, yo! And I took it and I adopted it as my own culture. So now I completely understand, like, anybody walking around is a walking billboard. If you open up your mouth and you have influence over the person next to you about, oh, I really like this brand because this. You wearing it already says that. Like, offer it. Now if I publicize that on my social media on a level where people know me as this figure or whatever, then it's like, now I'm providing value to these brands. The same way back and forth.
Yeah, so going back to the topic of like athletes, how do y'all approach that creative direction? Are you competitive with yourselves, or is it like, is this me against everybody else? So like, what's your mentality when you're trying to, whether it's approaching a project or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always say, it's me versus me. I don't feel like we should compare ourselves amongst ourselves, although in the social media, digital age, it's kind of like you gonna subconsciously do that anyway. But what I like to do is just always ground myself and try to one up like my last project, you know what I'm saying? Or just try to get better every day. And, I think people can fall into a trap in trying to compare or compete with people that you don't even know. Because a lot of times, somebody's probably, on step 50 and you on step 2, and now you're comparing yourself to somebody that's been in the game for, all this time. And it isn't a really true, like, evaluation of, or measuring stick of how well you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we have to kind of like dismantle that mindset of trying to compare ourselves in the creative field to other folks. I think, if anything, just be inspired by it. That's the approach that I like to take. If Dave Myers puts out a fire video featuring Drake and all these other folks, I'm like, damn, that's fire. But what I realize is, man, he's been in the game for countless years. So it's less about me trying to say, oh man, he's better than me, and more so coming from the perspective of, that's really dope work. And hopefully one day I can get to the point where I'm producing $1 million budgeted, videos. So yeah, for me, it's all about, trying to be better than I was yesterday, and not trying to be better than somebody that I don't even know.
Yeah, everybody has their own context too. So I think that speaks on what he was just talking about, because like you said, you don't know what somebody else had to go through to get to where they're at. And pushing that forward, that's fire to me.
Yeah, I don't really be thinking about competition for real. I just got like a vision of what I'm trying to accomplish in my head, which a lot of that work now is about like providing infrastructure for creatives in North Carolina, and through my job also, providing opportunity for folks that look like me and people that rock with the stores that I work for and all of that. So like, I don't really be thinking about competition as much as it is just like connecting with people and just chasing the vision as much as anything else. And then like the progress just comes being focused on the goal. Everything else around it is just like noise, low key. Like, I'm just here to, have a good time, stay tapped in with the creator, connect with people, kick it, build, make sure it's room for people around me to progress. Everything else is like, all the different mindsets and all this, like, like, it ain't gotta be that complex, you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't really gotta be this whole thing. Like, that's a really like, almost like something that's like bred from like a capitalistic perspective of like, I guess it's competition, it's people out here that's like trying to get to my customers, it's this, that, and the third. It's like, nah, bruh, it's thinking in abundance and knowing that that the people that you rock with will rock with you, and what's for you is for you, and staying focused on what your goal is, and naturally you'll attract the people that are supposed to interact with that. So,
do you think that's like a cultural thing though, where we're at odds with each other? You know, like you get mine, I get, you know, whatever. You know, it's like it's a competition.
Yeah,
that's a cultural
it's
mindset.
A learned thing.
Mentality.
I mean, you got to think. A lot of us. How many up here play sports as a kid? You know what I'm saying? Like it's bred into you.
It's ingrained almost.
Yeah, it's bred into you that, like, you know, competition is like a way. Some people more than others about being the best and this and the third. But after a while, you realize that, like, one, the definition of success is like super subjective. Like, you get to decide what success is for you. So there's no need to like look at what somebody else's success is and compare it, because it's like I'm on my path and I'm on my journey,
right,
and I'm running my race. So the only goal is the vision. The only goal is executing on what I feel like I was put here to do. And a lot of times too, people be using competition as that North Star because they don't know what they're here for. So like, all I can do is compete. It's like once you figure out, I know we talked about self-discovery a little bit earlier. It's like once you figure out, you know, or have kind of tapped in on like what your skills are and why you here, everything else falls to the wayside. You just get super focused on like what you're supposed to be here to do, and you end up supporting people that support that, and, you know, rocking with people that rock with you, and you just keep it pushing.
I think that's the big thing. Like you literally said, it was on the tip of my tongue too. Like it goes back to Khalil's tip about being self-aware, and literally everything else does fall. There's no room for that. But also, like we all, I mean, me personally, I've been through that. I feel like every creative has kind of been through that phase. But we all know people out there that are still like that too, though. And it's two different mindsets. It's literally, there is an abundance mindset. Forgive me, I don't know it's like, then it's like the scarcity, the other mindset. So it's like, even in work, there's people like, it's like, oh, so-and-so got a promotion or so-and-so got lifted to this position. Damn, I can't do it now. It's literally the wrong way to think. So it's just on two different sides of, you know, how you think that really changes how that outcome really comes.
And to your point earlier, it's enough out here for everybody. So it's like one of those things, especially now within our community, I feel like there's a bit of like an awakening happening, and folks are understanding that, like, yo, we have to work together. No longer do we need to adopt this perspective or this persona of just being fully independent. It's like, nah, we wasn't put on this planet just to go through life by ourselves. We was here to work with other people, connect with like minds, you know what I'm saying? Connect with kindred spirits. And I think once you find like your tribe and you find people that you can connect with and build with, then it's just about like all getting there together, like lifting as you climb, you know what I'm saying? And so it's my responsibility as someone that may be a little older than you guys to say, yo, I've been here, I did this, make sure you guys don't do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, there's an opportunity right here. We can go get a bag this way. Let's adjust, let's do it this way. You feel what I'm saying? And so even what you'll realize, I remember we was having a conversation, you know, about like just Atlanta and the culture of Atlanta. And you know how even in the music scene and the hip hop scene, everybody helps each other out, you know, but even from the government contracting perspective, what was happening is it was this construction company, and basically it was a bunch of companies trying to get this one government contract, but they couldn't get it individually. So what they end up doing is coming together, and once they came together, they was able to then get the contract. And now, if I'm not mistaken, they still are awarded that contract to this day. And now this is probably a multi-million-dollar contract, but that just goes to show you that, you know, there's strength in numbers. And so I think that's the mindset that we have to adopt more so than, oh, I got to one-up, you know, my brother over here. It's like, nah, like if we can work together, let's work together, and you know, we'll be able to achieve more.
See, that's the whole concept behind my letter in the mural. I mean, I don't know if everybody's seen it, but it's a bunch of black fish, the A in matters.
Oh, dope.
So it's a bunch of black fish centered around one character, where it's, I mean, that's what I'm preaching going forward. So collaboration over competition, because competition exists in that space too. But I learned that from basketball. Because if there's somebody on the team trying to score 40, that's his individual goal, yeah, but the goal of the team is to win the game. If you got somebody focused on scoring, oh, I need a triple-double tonight, they gonna let you score your 40. They gonna let you get your triple-double, or the defense is gonna let you get your numbers, but y'all probably have a higher chance of losing versus, oh, let me help my friend score, or let me help my teammate do this. And collaboration is definitely like the way going forward. That collective consciousness that the whole world has come into is pushing everything in a totally different direction.
I feel like we're almost seeing sort of a black renaissance, almost. You see it in film, you know, just being able to see the stories that are being told. You know, how important do y'all feel like it is for black creatives, whether they're young, old, whatever, to work together at a time like this and really come together, as y'all were speaking on? Like, what is the importance and the significance of that?
Yeah, I mean, more so, I think it's, if anything, in terms of collaboration or about this time just working together, so for me, it's about documentation. Like, this is a very pivotal time where history is shifting. And, you know, just like we like to look at photos from the civil rights era, you look at photos from earlier than that, you look at photos from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like you look at all these moments, right? It's like we documenting those and sharing those in real time. You know what I mean? Spreading information in real time, spreading these experiences in real time. And I'm hoping that somebody's doing the work to archive it beyond Instagram. You know what I mean? I'm hoping all these photographers that's documenting all this stuff, like, you know what I'm saying, with what Lloyd Visuals did in terms of taking pictures of that Black Lives Matter mural and then, like, you know, being able to use commerce to give back, you know what I'm saying? Like, that type of stuff is important because, you know, that mural might not always be there, but that moment is now documented and is now able to be shared, and it's living on several people's walls, it's living on people's T-shirts, all from that photo that they took, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the big factors of right now is just us being able to document, because this is the new history. Like, history is being made right now, and you know, should anything, you know, go crazy where technology isn't as much of a thing, you want to make sure you got something tangible to be able to show from this moment in time. So for me, seeing that collaboration, but also just the documentation that's occurring through that collaboration is monumental and paramount during this time.
And that's where you finding your purpose, right?
You talking about me, documentation?
Yeah. Like documentation of things?
Not really. I mean, for me, bro, I'm a system and structure dude. So I mean, I wouldn't say that like my purpose is, I'm not necessarily here to document. My art practice is centered around documentation.
Got you.
From a photography perspective, mainly in like, you know, older photography mediums like disposable film, Polaroid film, and what those mediums kind of represent. And even wanting to teach myself and get into large format at some point. So for me, my art practice is centered around that, but my overall vision is more so about shifting structures and making systemic change. You know what I mean? Setting examples and putting new models together to push our community forward. That's where my purpose lies right now, specifically in specific contexts, you know, creatives in North Carolina, and you're gonna get more specific, we talking about black creatives.
So what's the overall vision? Because at the end of the day, like, we see basketball now is translated to opportunities, you know, with street art, you know, y'all with Lloyd Visuals, traveling the world, you know, and really being able to experience a different cultural dynamic, you know, edit and chill, the growth concept, you know, all of those things, you know, they manifest, we see the result, but what is the overall vision? Or is that too ambitious of a question? I don't know.
I mean, I would, and not to speak for everybody, but I would think that we all want some of the same things. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think that through drawing, through art, through, you know, creating and creating systems, shifting systems, through, you know, building platforms and building communities that you can collaborate with folks and meet and network folks, and by us being able to create an actual digital agency where we're able to offer services to, you know, companies from tech to the nonprofit spaces. At the end of the day, we're all fighting for liberation. We're all fighting for like freedom to a certain degree. And us all being black, it's like we understand historically that we've always got the short end of the stick here in North America. So, everything that each individual is doing here, and not to speak for them, but I would assume that we're all after some of the same things, and that is being able to pass down some type of wealth to our children or our grandchildren, to be able to live in a space where we don't necessarily feel like we have to assimilate and lose who we are just so that we can make a dollar and be successful in whatever ways that, the society labels success as. To be able to obtain just the freedom of time, man, like, those are some of the things, like, for me that just mean a lot. And so, I think folks can be on their individual paths, but if we are operating with that collective consciousness to all reach a common goal, then as long as I have a connection with Tyler, as long as I have a connection with Matt, with Justin, with Dave, and we're all in our individual fields, in our individual silos, but we're working towards one common goal, then we all gonna get there. But it's just about having these conversations. It's about, like, doing the work to build those genuine relationships and then figure out how we can help each other along the way. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. So too, I want to ask y'all this, in terms of inspiration, like, who is some of y'all's inspiration that y'all have taken from over the years that have done it, that you look to even now? Business, art, film, music, sports.
I mean, I would say I take a lot of inspiration from a lot of our historical figures, specifically those that were a part of movements. So I would start with, like, a Toussaint Louverture, out of Haiti, that, really just was a pioneer and was fearless, taking over just the whole Haitian revolution, essentially, what I'm saying, and flipping it on its head. I think, like, somebody like a Marcus Garvey. Obviously, you got the Malcolms, you got Martins, but then you got Ella Baker. You got, like, a lot of folks that, during our struggle here in North America have really stepped up to the plate and just emerged as our heroes. And sometimes we sensationalize them. Like, there's a movie coming out with Fred Hampton now. And to me, man, it's so crazy that Fred Hampton was murdered at 21 years old.
Bro.
At 21 years old. It's like, yo, bro was so powerful that they had to take him out. And so that inspires me. Like, it inspires me that Jay-Z dropped Reasonable Doubt at 26 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, Nip Hussle, one of my biggest inspirations, got killed at 33. But understanding, like, the blueprint and the legacy that they left behind, I feel like it's really up to us to be able to take that, apply it to, what we're doing on the day-to-day, and then just continue to build, because they left so much behind. So I would definitely say, like, the freedom fighters, those who really just were selfless in terms of understanding that it wasn't about them, it was about the next generation. And so I pull a lot from those individuals, and I hope that, one day I can become one of those figures that people see, the kids see one day. It's like, damn, he really did it his own way. Like, he really, was selfless in that way where, he did give it his all and put people in position to win. So that's who I really, like, pull inspiration from.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what context we're talking about. In general, though, I'm most inspired by my family and legacy that exists. You know what I'm saying? I come from a family of educators. There's a school here named after my pops. So I'm becoming, the older I get, the more I see my connection to that and see me putting my link in the chain and wanting to, set up to have a family to be able to, bring out the next generation of butlers and, just continue to push all of that forward and continue to be of service to the people around me. And that's what really stood out, was just like he was like the true definition of like a servant leader, to the point where, like, now, even though he's been gone for over 20 years, like, people who run up, people who know him or find out who I am or see my name or whatever, like, they immediately associated with who he is if they had, like, came across him, or he had a lot of impact on a lot of people. And I'm starting to see that and understand that, the older I get, and understand the value of that. So for me, it's like him, my mom, you know what I'm saying, my grandparents, like I said, my whole family and lineage is mostly educators. So like in general, my motivation or inspiration comes from that. I think when you talk about like inspiration of just different models and stuff like that, like I'm looking at, you know what I mean, to be cliche and name some rappers is like, I'm looking at your Currencies, I'm looking at your Dom Kennedys, I'm looking at your Larry Junes, all your independent people who just living a lifestyle based off of the work that they're doing, and their work influences their lifestyle, and their lifestyle influences their work. Like anybody who's living in that type of space, I'm paying attention to. You know what I'm saying? Gavin Matthew from Supervision, you know, Bobby Hundreds, you know, people like in the digital space, you know, people like Julian Mitchell, like people who are really, you know, carving their own lane and really, you know, developing new models and creating space and creating systems and structures to employ the people around them and push things forward are people that inspire me, I guess, on the creative tip, you know what I'm saying, or in terms of like, you know, tangible mediums. Yeah.
No, that's real. I mean, just thinking about this is like, for me, like in general, I tend to like, it's like my surroundings. Like that's where I get my inspiration from. So not even trying to be cliche, like people that I'm sitting with now, Khalil, Dave, Matt, I make an effort to actually do that. So kind of like, actually to Khalil's point, like a little bit earlier, your surroundings also play a pivotal role in like your journey as a creative. Once you realize and figure out who you are, then it's like, all right, I need to surround myself with these type of people. You know, otherwise, you know, you can have all of the motivation that you want, but if you're ultimately surrounded by negativity or, you know, people just trying to bring you down, that's still gonna be where you're at. But in general, kind of like Dave, it's literally, again, like my brothers around me, independent people such as like my mom, more so on like the art tip. I think when I was a little bit younger, I think Frank Have Mercy, just as like a young photographer, that was probably one of the first people that popped out, and how he's kind of evolved now into doing literally whatever he wants based off of that following he built, to me, just from like the photography, because he was awesome at that. Now he's into like the artistry, so he's probably one of my latest ones.
That's dope. That's dope. So in terms of, I guess, branding, you know, obviously you with Hugh House and you know, all of y'all have reputable brands and y'all have built that over time. For young creatives trying to figure that out, they have the skill sets, they've built the networks, now they're trying to launch. You know, what is some pieces of advice that you would give those young creatives that are really just trying to take off? You know, they have their lane and they're just trying to go.
Go. Yeah. Like, yeah, nah, bro. Like, there ain't nothing stopping you. And then, like, I mean, I guess from a branding aspect, I mean, we kind of talked about this, you know what I'm saying, offline, but it was just like, you know, it's who's your market, who are you talking to, what are you saying, the messaging, and then being consistent in that on the branding tip. You know what I'm saying? Like, after you got those three things, it's just about flowing in it. You know what I mean? You can't. There's nothing stopping you but you. You know what I mean? So it's really just go. Like, it's always funny, you sit in different scenarios or you talk to somebody and they're like, yo, how do I do X, Y, and Z? And it's like, bro, I only got here, if you want to consider here a place, you know what I'm saying? Because I put one foot in front of the other. Like, I just woke up, decided like, oh, I'm gonna just work on this project, or I'm gonna just do this whether I'm getting paid for it or not, or whether I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna just put my one foot and I'm gonna figure it out. And as you start to, yeah, bro, and as soon as you start to put that forward, like, you start to see people's reactions towards it, and then people start to, like, you know, they want to assist, they want to help, they want to figure out how they can help you grow it. So it's like, and I mean, obviously you got to watch out for that because you got different types of people that you'll come across, and you got to, you know, you got to protect yourself and pay attention to who might be with you and who might be trying to leverage you, and like, it's a whole thing, right? But you start to go down that path, and once you go, you know, and you start to, those things will uncover themselves, and you'll learn lessons, and you'll get hurt, and you'll get burned, and then you'll win. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I'm saying? You'll lose everything, you'll win again. You know what I mean? Like, it's a process of just, but you gotta stay consistent. You know what I'm saying? It's like getting return on stocks or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's a long-term play. As long as you stay in, the market gonna rebound. It's gonna bounce back up. So you keep your bread in until it's time for you to clog out, or until it's time to move on to something else. You know what I'm saying? So for anybody who's thinking about doing anything, or anybody who's on the fence, or anybody who kind of has something figured out but they're trying to take it to the next level. It's like, yo, like, again, study the industry, study, find out who the players are, find out people around you that you can network with across. You know what I'm saying? I know that's one of Issa Rae's concepts that she talks about, like networking across and working with the people that are adjacent to you and trying to build similar things to be able to elevate. So it's just that consistency, bro. It's to quote Nip, they asked him in an interview, like, what happened? He was just like, bro, I just didn't give up.
I just stayed down.
I just stayed down. Yeah, like I just didn't give up.
I think one of the other important parts to stress is like don't be afraid to like mess up.
Yeah.
Because it's bound to happen. You gonna mess up.
Not gonna be perfect.
Literally just wait for the lesson from it. Right. I was looking at, I don't even remember whose story I was watching today. He was talking about how he sees everything as a gift. Like even the good stuff, of course, but the bad stuff as well, because if you look at the bad stuff and you frame it as if, okay, there's something I need to learn from this. When y'all were talking about influence earlier, I didn't really have an answer because it's like, dang, one, there's so many, because like you were saying, I'm influenced by, I know I'm nothing but a product of my influences, but like one person, and this is funny, y'all might laugh, Bob Ross.
I don't even know
like,
that is.
bro, that's the dude with the afro who was just painting, bro. And the thing is, like, there no mistakes. Like, it's a happy accident. And if you literally live with that notion, of course you're gonna have your downtimes, but everybody does. Like, just wait for it to come full circle, because that's real.
Yeah, I definitely say, man, like, just start. Like, I fall victim of this, getting paralysis in the analysis. I always overanalyze stuff. But literally, if you just start, you'll be surprised what happens. Man, like, stuff will just start parting like the Red Sea when you operating in a space where this is just something that you love to do. People are gonna be attracted to that, especially now where you can take a picture, you can do something dope, put it online.
If you
know
share
what I'm
it.
saying?
There's a lot of people doing stuff that's just like,
In the
they don't got the
closet
confidence to share
to put it out.
So you definitely gotta share it.
And you put it out there, you'll be surprised, man. It's like you build a house, they will come. You build a business, they will come. And so, yeah, just to kind of echo what everybody else is saying, it's like, yo, just do it. Word to Nike, just start. I think we overcomplicate things a lot. Like, it's not rocket science. It's like, yo, pick up a camera. If you don't got a camera, go fundraise. Go ask one of your uncles and one of your aunts to get you a T5i. Start off filming. You got YouTube. You know what I'm saying? We got the internet. There's literally no excuses for us at this point.
It's are you willing to make the sacrifices to get to where you want to go? To Khalil's point about getting resources, it's like, bro, you got all types of crowdsourcing stuff. You got Cash App, you got this, you got that. You got even just doing something that somebody don't want to do. Like, we talking about college kids, like, bro, cats don't be wanting to do laundry. I had a girl that that's her little laundry business, like, used to come pick up the clothes, take them to her crib, wash them, bring them back. That was like, she had a little laundry service going on campus. Like, there's all types of hustles for you to be able to get what you need to get where you want to go, but can you be humble enough to put yourself through that to make that change? You know what I'm saying?
But that's the big thing, though. Like I'm saying, so again, like in my world of photography, it's like there's people that want to do, what's the big thing now? Everybody's shooting celebrities. Well, back, prior to the pandemic, with concert shoots, everyone wants to shoot these celebrities, but it's like, okay, they'll come ask people, it's like, yo, where you at? I'm at UNC Charlotte, I just want to, how do I get into this concert? I'm like, yo, well, have you hit up the photography club or whatever it's called at UNC Charlotte and shot some basketball games, some of the campus activity board events that are already easily accessible to you. They'll give you a pass. You'll be able to walk on the basketball court. Being able to, I don't even know if it's, I guess it's being humble. It's like, yo, have you even looked at your network?
Yeah, that's relationship building.
We always underestimate and take for granted, who we think we don't know. But it's like through Khalil, I wouldn't have access to, I'd have access to certain spots. So yeah, being able to provide value through that. But remind me of the original question. I remember I had something to say about that too.
About like branding and, trying to find your mark,
That's literally how Edit and Chill is kind of born too. One, through like the collaboration over competition tip, but I was just looking. I had that idea or whatever. That note was just sitting in the back of my head in my iPhone for at least half a year, you know what I'm saying? But until, like, nothing moves until you do. So it wasn't
a quote right there.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a quote right there.
Retweet.
So
Bars.
That's a bar.
But for real, it didn't, nothing moved until I did the Google search to find, all right, yeah, within, in the back of social status is be social. And then I walked in and it's like, oh shoot, I found out, you know, it's a man by the name of Dave that kind of orchestrates all of these things behind the scenes. He's alpha, I'm alpha, bet, let's network, let's talk. How can I provide value? All those different baby steps. And you gotta be able to be comfortable in that. We talked about comparison. That, you know, I think it's even a scripture. Comparison is a thief of joy. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to keep moving forward and not, you know, look, you know, side to side, because otherwise you'll just be staying in that same spot.
For sure. And I'm about to wrap up and close out, but just kind of ending off on this note. I mean, what's next for y'all? You know, like what's next in y'all's direction? Y'all have projects that y'all are putting out, and we see the presence on social media. What are the next steps, you know? If you can talk about them. I was like, yeah, NDAs, yeah.
I don't even know about it. For sure. I mean, so I would be remiss if I just didn't first just shout out the squad. So Malik is behind the camera, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times I get the credit, or I may get some form of credit because I may be the most outspoken of the bunch. But we got a solid assassin in Malik and my other younger brother, Najim. We got a lot of projects kind of in the pipeline, but one project in particular that we're really excited about, I wouldn't even call it a project, is that we just got 2 interns that's about to join us, you know, in 3 weeks. And we partnered up with a foundation here in Charlotte. They're paying the interns $17 an hour. So they're gonna be able to work with us, helping with some marketing and video. And so that's a huge blessing because we were able to go through a interview process, interview maybe about 20 to 25 folks, and got a chance to like hand select one young lady from Queen's University and the other from UNC Charlotte. So yeah, we're looking forward to bringing them on board. We also just gave away $2,000 to 2 nonprofits, Black-led nonprofits here in Charlotte, Hope Vibes and My Hill Charlotte. So that's been a huge blessing, just fundraising. That's been a cool project that we've been working on. So just blessed to be a blessing, man. I think what's happening for us now is we've been in the game now. This is like 4 years of us being in business. And so it's understanding like the seasonality of the business, like doubling down on some of the relationships that we built 2 years ago. And understanding that if you're a good steward of those relationships, then you're gonna be able to reap more benefits. By just showing up, doing the work, being a man or woman of your word, you know what I'm saying, following up, just all the basic things that you need to be successful, like that's what we've been doing. So definitely excited about our internship project and excited to be able to just give more resources out to organizations that deserve it.
I mean, for me, obviously, like, Hugh House gonna keep doing what it's doing. You know, shout out to my 2 partners, Davida and Daly. You know, everything we got going on with everything over at the Whitaker Group is still gonna keep going. You know what I mean? Be Social, APBU, Hand Wash Cold, like all of those concepts are just growing. We opening more Be Social spaces, so we touching more communities and doing more work through sneakers and fashion. And you know, personally, I'm stepping into a dope place with my art practice. My first commercial show. I'm in a group exhibition at Elder Gallery in November, so I'm excited about that and finally got like, you know, a strong narrative for my, you know, for my work, and I'm excited to showcase that and display that concept to the world, man. So, you know, I'm just staying focused and working, bro. It's just putting one foot in front of the other. It ain't no need to change up now. Like the formula is working, so we just gonna keep doing what we've been doing. They say, to quote Kurt Snow, we just steal.
Edit and chill. So we took a brief pause, but actually we're about to get ready and go virtual. So coming back to Be Social, about to get some events going. Super excited about that. I won't get too in detail about that, but just know it's coming. I mean, that's another piece in it too, just with being creative. Yo, it's okay not to post. I'm kind of unorthodox with it. You do not have to post 24/7. don't rush your work just for your posting schedule. Make sure it's finished and then stay consistent with it. Personally, just with the growth concept and getting out these black business shoots. For those that follow me, have probably saw that, the black business, Black Wall Street, just doing free shoots for black businesses during the pandemic. I've been maxed out, so those, whoever's watching this, your work is coming. So getting the rest of those out.
Smooth. I appreciate y'all, man. No, for sure. It's been a blessing, just be able to talk to y'all in the room and, moving forward. These are the types of conversations that we need to continue to have, and the purpose of this, for me, to be able to reach out to all of us as black men. There's no competition. There's no sense of, I'm on a pedestal, you're on a pedestal. It's like we just here to connect, and that's the goal. So I really appreciate y'all, man.
What about Matt? What you got? We didn't get a chance to.
He said he can't go. He said I got contracts, man. I got sound quiet.
No. I mean, so I mean, of course, like we talked about earlier, one up in your last project. So my last big project that everybody knows about was the Black Lives Matter mural. It was an opportunity that was awarded to me because of whatever I built up, or I don't even know how it happened, honestly, like 100% honesty. I was awarded the opportunity. I went out there, I did my thing. And from that, and from everything else, like from the basketball perspective, from a design perspective, from basically all my seeds that I planted a long time ago are about to come full circle. So, I mean, thank God, all glory to God. I mean, I'm supposed to be highlighted on Converse's platform coming up soon. I don't know how much I can talk about, of course, cause
Say bleep out the brand.
yeah. I mean, not even, cause I mean, I'm repping all the time.
Stay repping it.
Stay repping. But like, that's not the only thing in my bag. Of course, they have their own bag. They have intentions for how they want to use me or whatever. Not use, but partner with me on things. But as of right now, I'm actually waiting to go back to Raleigh to do a project at Contemporary Arts Museum, where I'll be able to use the space.
Camp's dope.
Yes, Cam is dope. Like, I've been at Cam since I was like 14, bro. And it's an emotional experience walking in that building, because that's like the building that put me onto art. And like, I'm getting chills talking about it, because I know what type of impact I can have on my community back home. And then there are a few things that are under wraps, but they will not be for long. So, yeah.
That's what's up, man, for sure.
Cool, man. I appreciate y'all's time.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I appreciate you pulling everything together, man.
Thanks, bro.
You've been the mastermind behind all this, so
Yeah.
you're the reason why we're in the room, and I appreciate your initiative and your diligence. So,
Love.
yeah, this was
love.
dope. You gotta do it again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cut. We done?
Shout out MT.
Here, I gotta take a piss.
Bro, me too.